The better story is in the losing locker room, where Chicago finished at 8-8. They backed their way into the postseason, going down to the Green Bay Packers and getting in as a product of the Rams win over the Arizona Cardinals. So the Bears, not a good team this year. They have an issue at quarterback. So the question is this, all right, what does the future hold for Mitchell Trubisky in Chicago? So I've got Dennis Green, rope, and carousel. And we will connect all of these things together in a marginal, adequate Maller monologue. Now, first of all, the Bears got what they deserved. They did not listen to my advice. Bad job by them. You should always listen to the overnight guy, because the overnight guy knows everything. The Bears were mediocrity. I know mediocrity. My entire career has been mediocrity. The Bears were that. They were afraid to move on from Mitch Trubisky. Right? Everyone was saying, just do it. Just jump in the water. It's okay. The water is not too cold. It's not too hot. It's perfect. Just jump in the water. And instead of cutting the umbilical cord, right, cutting the cord, they attempted to salvage. This was a salvage mission in 2020, which is now over. Right? It was a rescue and salvage mission for the quarterback. They did pick up the Bears' Nick Foles. That is true. The idea was to light a fire under Mitch Trubisky. How did that work? Don't ask. All right. Now, Foles got hurt, but he wasn't particularly good before he got hurt. He's the same guy. Outside of Philadelphia, there's something about that green uniform of the Eagles and those the Eagle wings and all that. There's something about that where Foles is a different guy. But outside of Philly, he's blown every team he's been on. Every single team. He sucked. It's not my opinion. You can look it up. Anyway, as Dennis Green would say regarding Mitch Trubisky, the late, great Dennis Green, he is who he thought he was. And the Bears let him off the hook by bringing him back. They let him off the hook by bringing him back. Now, secondly, right, Mitch Trubisky should be already done. The fact that he was on borrowed time, but he's run out of time. Like this, that little sands of time thing in the kitchen, it's run out. It's run out, right? Knock on wood if you're with me, as John Gruden would say. Mitch Trubisky is a big tease, right? He provided a golden opportunity, and he has failed to ascend. He has failed. And we can compare him to Mahomes and Deshaun Watson and all these other guys. I have no skin in the game. I have no skin in the game. I got some family in Chicago, but I've spent limited time in Chicago. I'm not a Bears fan. You would hope that the Bears would not be hornswoggled. In fact, I said this. I did a cameo for Chris in Des Moines right before my life went to hell in a handbasket. I did one for Chris, and I literally right before, by the way. And I said, hey, I hope the Bears don't get hornswoggled from Trubisky, because Trubisky did play well for 4 games. He did play well for 4 games. It was week 13 to, I think, week 16. 4 random games against non-playoff teams, and he looked like a legitimate big-time quarterback. But then against the Packers in week 17 and against the Saints in the wild card game, Trubisky was a dirty diaper. Right? You wouldn't put a dirty diaper on. You throw it away. Trubisky was a dirty diaper. He averaged barely 6 yards per pass, had an 88 passer rating. Even those numbers are misleading. They are misleading. Now, why are they misleading? I'm glad you asked. Because Trubisky fattened up his stats in garbage time. In fact, the final play, you saw the game, the final play of the game. Touchdown Bears as they matriculate the ball down the field, running the no-huddle offense out of the shotgun formation. Mitch Trubisky finding Jimmy Graham for 19 yards with no time left, and he led the Bears down the field, an 11-play, 99-yard drive to close the game out when the game was already decided. It was 21-3 at that particular point when the Bears got the ball back, and then they scored the touchdown. That is some expert garbage time stat stuffing by Mitch Trubisky. But let's call a spade, or in this case, a bust a bust. Mitch Trubisky has been given enough rope. He's been given enough rope, and it has led to his downfall. And it's kind of like when you go shopping and you look at a thing of milk and you realize that the expiration date has already passed. You wouldn't buy the milk because you're like, well, it's already expired. What am I doing? I shouldn't do that. All right, final thought. So Chicago needs to do some window shopping. And it's the same list of quarterbacks that are being passed around, but the quarterback carousel will go round and 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 round. And boy, is that going to be fun, sports talk radio. Man, are we going to have fun as it spins round and round. I can't wait for it. It's good radio. No, marginally good radio. But Jimmy Garoppolo, I have Garoppolo going to the Patriots, but if not the Patriots, Garoppolo is a Chicago kid. He was born in the suburbs of Chicago, and he can be yours if the price is right. You can have Jimmy Garoppolo. Now, the problem with Garoppolo is he gets hurt all the time. But, decent. He's a decent quarterback. He's a little better than Mitch Trubisky. A little better than Mitch Trubisky. Carson Wentz. All right, someone's going to look at Carson Wentz and say, hey, if we put him in our city eating our food with our coaches, he'll be great. Matthew Stafford. Now, I don't see a scenario where Stafford ends up from the Lions to the Bears. That's a divisional situation. Very rarely do coaches trade players within division, so we'll see about that. You got Cam Newton. I don't know why anyone is going to sign him, considering how crappy he played with New England this year. But Cam Newton can say, well, yeah, but back in the day, I was an MVP, et cetera, et cetera. Matt Ryan in Atlanta, and the latest name to enter the chat, Deshaun Watson. Now, my man, Deshaun Watson, I can't see his tweets, but hard to believe a guy that couldn't handle me, blocked me on Twitter, can't handle playing for the Texans anymore. But he has experienced a hissy fit, apparently, in Houston. I was reading some of the stories as I was trying to get back in the saddle again here and get ready for the show. And we'll probably talk about that more later in the week. But he could be yours if the price is right. And considering Houston doesn't have any more draft picks because of the Bill O'Brien era, it's not going to take all that much to get the disgruntled Deshaun Watson. Now, just remember here, when you talk about Mitch Trubisky, he's also going to go somewhere else. Like, I think Trubisky sucks, but someone's going to bring him in and say, well, with my coaching, I can make him good. The whole Father Flanagan thing. No. I know just what he needs. Just what he needs. It's really the lesson of this. It's true in sports. I don't know that it's true in any other business. Like, I don't know that it's true in the business I work in. I work in radio. I don't know that it's true in my business. I don't know if it's true in, I don't know what you do for a living. But one man's garbage is another man's treasure in sports. And it doesn't usually work like that. I don't believe, maybe I'm wrong. I don't think it usually works like that in the real world. But in sports, it does. Like, if somebody said at one point, you're going to be good. Somebody said that Mitch Trubisky was going to be good. The fact that he hasn't been good is irrelevant, but the fact that somebody said he was going to be good is that it's like all that matters. It's bizarro world is what it is, but that is the reality of the situation. All right, here is Mitch Trubisky in his own words here, and he was asked about his future in Chicago, and he is not ready to deadbolt the door back to the Windy City.
I think I could definitely see myself back here next year. Obviously, a lot of that's out of my control, but it feels like home, and it feels like we have unfinished business. And right now, I'm really just bummed about how the season being over and how the game went. So a lot of emotions going on right now, but I could see that. But we'll see. There's a lot of things that got to happen and a lot of decisions that got to be made, and it's out of my control, but I could see that.
Yeah. Well, keep in mind, Mitch, I can see you selling insurance, and I might buy insurance from you. I could see that. I can see you selling TVs at Best Buy. I could see that as well. All right, here's one more from Mitch Trubisky, who is selling himself. You got to sell yourself a little bit. Here's Mitch Trubisky pointing out the positives in his world and for the Bears. See, it's not all negative, right? I'm a negative guy, but it's not all negative.